Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Weathering Autism. I'm glad that you are with me today for another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you. I just want to remind those who have tuned in today that ask you please to take time to subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell next to it once you hit the subscribe button. And then you'll receive notifications when I put new videos up. Today I would like to start a mini-series called MythBusters. And in the series I'd like to dispel some myths concerning autism. And so this is not just for people who have autism, are raising children with autism, but especially for those who are curious about autism and don't know much about it and may have some preconceived notions about what autism is. So we want to address those when I come back. Stay tuned. The title of this episode, as you could tell, or you could see, was Autistic People, Dumb and Dumber. And I know that's a weird and maybe even offensive title, but allow me to explain. The first myth that we want to deal with is that autistic people are dumb. They're stupid. And that's simply not true. There are people that are on the spectrum that have had developmental delays, but their IQs are average to even above average. Now those in the autistic population are just like any other population. You have people with lower IQs, you have people with higher IQs. It's the same. But people don't treat autistic people that way. There's a lot of people that look at people on the autism spectrum and say they're dumb. They look at them as if they have some kind of mental issue. And so they treat them as if it's like the invasion of the brain snatcher. You know, their body is there, but their brain is not there.
So there are a lot of different myths that exist regarding autism. So there's also the myth that children with autism cannot learn. Children with autism can often have very exceptional IQs. Sometimes children with autism have what we call splinter skills, in which they're exceptional or extraordinary on a subject such as math or science, where they may have difficulty tying their shoes. In order to help children and facilitate their learning, what's needed are very special remediation programs, sometimes in reading and writing or speech and language and occupational therapy. But over time, in the right environment, in the right circumstances, with the correct and proper professionals, children with autism can learn.
There are people who use derogatory terms in speaking to people or talking about people on the spectrum. You've heard it. Oh, they're just slow. Oh, that's a retard. Oh, they're on the yellow bus. And so many others. And, I personally find them offensive. But, I know there's people that use those terms sometimes when they're talking to their friends and they're using it in jest. And I don't want to come across as being ultra sensitive. But when it comes to how you treat a human being with autism, and there are people that have looked at people on the spectrum and said they are not all there, and that's just simply not the case. And so autistic people oftentimes are treated unfairly, are done a great disservice because of the way people perceive them. And so I want to say today, to those who are listening to me, if you're not raising an autistic child, you don't have an autistic person in your family, if you come across a person like that, don't make assumptions that that person is not intelligent, that person has no understanding, because it's simply not true in most cases. I know for me, even I had to learn this about my own son. He had been so used to being drawn away socially and, going into his own corner and being in his own bubble and seemingly being content that way. There were times I took that for granted. I would have conversations around him, and I'm not saying anything vulgar or anything like that, but, conversations I wouldn't have around my daughter. Just looking, assuming that, he's not listening. And to find out later that, he would say something that was only said in the context of that conversation. The light bulb goes off. He's listening. He understands. And how many times, during the course of his years in school where many of his teachers and those that worked with him would say, no, he's listening. He's just, even when it doesn't look like he's listening. Be careful what you say around him, because he knows a lot more than he lets on to know. And because he's a human being, and he has a brain, he has a mind, he has ears to hear, and there's understanding there. The issue many times is with the inability to communicate, the inability to relate to another person the way a typical person would relate. I am calling for sensitivity, for people to be sensitive and to have understanding of what is going on many times with those who have autism, and to treat them like human beings, to treat them with the dignity and respect that you would treat any other human being. They're made in God's image just like you and I are, and they have value and worth just like you and I do.
Hi, my name is Bethany, and today I wanted to talk to you about why autism does not define me. On this channel, I talk a lot about high-functioning autism, and I talk about a lot of the different aspects to do with autism to bring understanding and awareness, and I also like to focus on the positive parts of autism. However, autism by no means defines me. I was talking to someone after I had first received my diagnosis, and they had mentioned how a mutual friend of ours on Facebook had the word disability right underneath their name. So it's their profile picture, their name, and the word disability. They probably put it in as their job or whatnot for Facebook, but it seemed like the very third thing that they wanted someone to know about them was that they were on disability or that they were disabled. And they asked me, would you put autistic or autism there for you? And I said no. Why? Because autism does not define me. It is very much a part of me. It's part of what makes me unique. It affects my personality. It affects what I do and how I react to things. But yet it still is not what defines me. Then what does? My job? My personality type? My education? While these things are a part of me, I'm not only an INFJ or only on the spectrum. I'm not just defined by a list of strengths and weaknesses. I think it's especially important for us to keep this in mind. While an autism diagnosis definitely helped me in opening doors for help and understanding and making sense of things, I will not be solely defined by what some people consider a disability. While others may find that they are defined by other things, I am defined by Christ. I am uniquely created by God's hand. I am this way and the many things that make me who I am because of Him. And the things that I think I can't do, He's going to let me know that I can find success and be able to overcome those things through Him. And at the end of the day, I just want to be a vessel that He's able to use to reach others.
Some of these kids have amazing levels of intelligence. And even those that don't seem like they do. I had an episode that I did earlier about gifts and giftings. They have a lot of gifts inside of them. A lot of gifts and giftings that God has placed inside of them. Many of them are so sensitive, and we'll talk about that in a future episode. But so loving and so kind, and so forgiving. It's amazing what these kids have inside of them, males and females alike. The other day, actually, on one of my videos, and my son was in it a lot. He was in the video a lot. And someone made a commentary. And I don't know if they were doing it just to be mean or they didn't realize he had autism. I don't know how you know. It's called Weathering Autism. And I don't know, whatever. But, you know, they said he's so stupid. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. You know, I don't know if they thought that was hilarious or funny, you know, whatever. For me, if you want to come for me, come after me and say, you know, mean things to me, you know, my skin is a little thicker when it comes to me. But when people are attacking my child, the skin gets a little thinner. And so there was an instant delete and block. That action was quick and swift, and I don't have any issues or problems with using that. I appreciate that I'm able to block folks, and you know, so that's my prerogative. But just thinking about the words that those people, that individual said about my son, and yeah, no, he's not stupid, he's not dumb, he's an amazing kid, and I'm so blessed to be his mom. I'd like to give a shout out also to a good friend of mine, Sue from Cali. Thank you so much, Sue, for all the feedback. I appreciate it. And I'd like to end today with my inspirational moment. I said I was going to do this at the beginning of the program, but I think it's best at the end, and we'll sign off this way. And my inspiration is just a quote that I found today, as a matter of fact. And it's called "Practice the Pause." And many of you probably have heard of this quote. It says, "When in doubt, pause. When angry, pause. When tired, pause. When stressed, pause. And when you pause, pray." And so I'd like to leave on that note, encourage you all to pray when you're in any of those situations, any of those mindsets, any of those moods, #mood. Turn and pause and pray. And if you need someone to stand with you in prayer, I'll be happy to do that. Send your prayer request to weatheringautism2@gmail.com. weatheringautism2@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and to share this channel with someone you know. Until next time, have a great one. Bye-bye.